Hello, welcome people. So I am making. I don't know if you guys have seen my ping in Discord for my live stream, but I am making edits for the next world building video, and also just for a lot of future videos. I'm not an animator, but I can make these two frame, just slight moving characters, just to add a little bit more interesting dynamic while I talk. So I'm just trying to make a couple of like cinematic, like slow moving little animations that I can just make them move like this. Hello, and hello, Ace Wolf. Also, if this phone shakes a little bit, it's because I just got caffeinated and I'm like, ooh, I'm like feeling the jitters. Oh, thank you, my young 352. I appreciate that. And thank you, Ace Wolf. Yeah, so I'm just, right now, I'm just making this edit. Let's see if... I don't have the original files for this, so I'm trying to do this in a way that's not going to make me have to, like, spend all day just moving fur around. So if I move her fur up, like, closer up here. And the thing with these edits, too, is I'm not actually going, like, for perfection. Like, I'm not making this for the purpose of posting these frames individually. So it's okay if it's flawed. It's okay if it's not a completely perfect thing, because there's also going to be a snow effect on top of this. And that effect is going to hide some of the flaws too. So purpose of this is to work smarter, not harder. Even though I don't have those original files, which would make this a little bit easier, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, because I'd probably merge them anyway. Make sure everything is... And with these things, it's good to zoom out a lot. So what I'm probably... There we go. I use Autodesk Sketchbook. Animation is a pain, but I want to try it. It looks so hard to do with the wolves. I would never do like frame by frame animation. Like that is too much time for very little payoff. I can do stuff like this because like within probably 30 minutes I can have like, I can show a wolf doing like one action and then I can just move on to the next scene. That way so I don't have to, make 24 frames per second, which is what you would actually do if you were making a traditional animation. And that's just, oh my god. No. I found that just having a little bit of movement in my videos goes a really long ways. So even if it's not perfect or if it like looks a little janky, it's immediately more interesting and eye-catching than if it was just like a... Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Than if it was just like a still image. And these two characters are Ilera and Quiche. And Ilera, she is the Eastern Red Clay on the left, and this wolf is Quiche, and she is a Blue Bay Flint. Both of these species are kind of the exception to the general species rules when it comes to like the different wolves of Avalon, because Eastern Red Clays and both Blue Bays, their species kind of appeared spontaneously, whereas with the other species like the Southern Frost and the Greater Tundra Frost, those guys slowly evolved over thousands and thousands of years, but these guys both appeared over sudden mutations in their genetic code. So these two species are both kind of like novelties in Avalon, and they're both considered to be really, really pretty, especially the Eastern Red Clays. Blue Bays too, but I think Eastern Red Clays definitely have a really they're definitely stigmatized a little bit for their beauty too. Icebreaker says, "You and Autumn have inspired me to get back into art, not gonna lie." More rose from Discord. Aw, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. You know, I also find that, like, once someone in the server, rather it's, like, Autumn or if it's, like, one of, like, our artists that we pay to do stuff for us, if any of them, like, suddenly get, like, really excited and motivated and start working on projects, it's kind of, like, infectious, and it's another thing that I really like about having, like, a small team is, like, it is so easy for us to just suddenly have an explosion of creativity because we all seem to, like, feed off of it, and I see that a lot, like, in the Discord community, like, outside of just, like, our little team, like, but in, like, the public chats and stuff, and it is, like, it's super fun because it's really good. If you're gonna be on your screen, it's good to be doing something, like, creative. Uh, yeah. I see people do it, and it sure is interesting. I'm not good at drawing, but I want to be a voice actor. Ooh, if you're in the Discord, make sure you turn on voice actor ping because I actually, uh, fairly often, I actually have openings for voice actors. I'm not making like a full animation. Like Avalon is not going to become an animated series, but I do enjoy making little like skits. And I have pretty frequent openings for voice actors. So like that is a ping that you can turn on. And a lot of times I'll do like actually group roles where I'll have like I'll need a bunch of voice actors at once. Um, and actually I did that like a few months ago where I had like I used the voices of literally like 14 different people for a video. The video's still being made. But it is my plan to get that started. I remember this piece. Yeah, we originally had this piece on a rainy background, and I want to do something different. I feel like it looks a lot better with like the snowy background. I don't know. I just had the original background up, and they are popping, and it looks so much more cinematic on this background. So I wanted to change it for the video. You know, unfortunately, about like all these layers being about all the wolf layers being merged together. Since this was originally on a rainy, deciduous forest background, there's lots of little I don't know, not flakes, but flicks of rain, and I am not going to take the time to edit every single raindrop out because that would just take forever. So I'm going to see if maybe I can pass it off as snow and put a couple of snowy filters on top of this. Like I said earlier, I'm not going for perfection in this. I just want it to look good enough because once these characters move, or once I do this 2-frame animation to make them move a little bit, I feel like it's going to hide a lot of these flaws. I make stories in the Discord. I love to write. We love to see it. We actually have, I don't want to call it a writing event, but it is a pretty wide scale roleplay event that's, I think it's still open for applications. If that's something you're into, I know there's a really big writing event coming up with someone who's hosting, it's like a multi pack hunt where they're hunting from the herd. Oh, goodness. If you want to know more, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. What do you think about thylacine? Oh, goodness. Which one is that? Is that the one with the stripes on its back? That kind of looks like a mongoose? How do I join? If you scroll up through our announcements, not too long ago, I made an announcement about it. And also, it should be in events. So if you click on our events, right now we have the fall banner contest, but we also have it's called the Long Pursuit. That is currently, the person who is running that event, I think they are still taking applications, and they have people who are, I say applications, but it's like, it's for a big role play, and she has people who are leading their pack or their band if it's like tigers or some other feline. And there's also the pursuers, which are the actual pack mates that are doing the hunt. And I think she has a couple NPC roles too. But I'm pretty excited to see that happen because I've always wanted to run some community immersive roleplay event, but I just don't have the time like to do something like that without seriously taking away from like making videos or writing or actually illustrating. So it's really nice that someone else has like stepped up and is like put together a super like in-depth, detailed story event that's based in Avalon, and it's now like open to the public. So I'm really excited to watch that. I'll definitely be lurking during the long pursuit. That is what she has called it. And it was Katie Jean. She is the one that's running that. Tasmanian tiger. Off the top of my head, I'm actually not entirely sure if I know what animal that is. It's not one I think about often, so I don't really have any opinions on it. Good afternoon, Skylar. Did I hear you were working on an animation? Kind of, kind of an animation. Um, I'm making a actually a very in-depth lore video right now, and I am like very close to the end. So throughout this video, there's a lot of moving parts. Like I don't think I have a single like still frame in the entire video. So I am making a lot of two-frame animations of just like characters doing a single action, like with these girls who are fighting. It's just gonna be Alara slamming Quiche against this tree. So nothing too crazy, but still looks pretty cool. Excited for the video. Yeah. I am too. I have been slaving away at this video. Like, I have neglected almost everything in my life for this video. I have been working literally over 11 hours a day. Like, this morning, I've been working on it since 6 a.m., and I've, like, hardly stopped. I go back and forth between, like, drawing graphs and animations to editing and adding sound effects and transitions, and it's a lot, but I really, really like it. This is definitely my best work that this is the best video I would have posted to date when it goes live. I should stop talking about it because, yeah, I should probably stop talking about it until it's actually out, but I'm getting very, very close to finishing. I think it'll be done pretty soon. Hello. Why are they fighting? Ooh, I can't get into it too much because this is actually something that's relevant to the book I'm writing. Yeah, I actually can't say anything about the reason why they're fighting because it is a really big part of the story that I've never really got into. I just been enjoying honestly everything I have watched again. Going to see the Discord, it just sparks so much of my creativity. Ah, yes, that makes me so happy. I love body doubling with people being creative. As I was saying just a little bit earlier, like when either Autumn or someone on our team like gets a sudden spark of creativity and starts talking, it is so infectious. It literally gets the entire team in a creative mood, and a lot of times we'll just all start working on projects simultaneously, and it is such a good feeling to be working on stuff with a little group of people. And that is one thing I really like about our Discord server is has a really good creative community. Do the wolves have different fighting styles? Yeah, depending on what element they are. You know, in the story, I do portray them a lot of their animal characteristics pretty. I front load the animal characteristics. So, like, it is common to see them fighting like you would expect canines to fight, but they do have elemental powers, and each species does have a pretty unique fighting style depending on if they're earth, fire, electricity, or a water species. There is also like a little bit of a code of honor in Avalon where like if you are ground fighting like without your elemental abilities, um, it, culturally you would maybe expect the other opponent to not use their element if the fight starts without elemental powers. I know I keep complimenting, but it really has been fun. Oh, thank you. Sorry if my phone is shaking a little bit. I caffeined up, caffeinated up a lot before this stream, and I am feeling it. I'm running off of coffee right now for this video. I think what I want to do. So Ilera is slamming her against this tree, and I think like if she's getting shoved back this way, I think it'd be cool if in this position, if I maybe propped her little ears up. Maybe. Perhaps not. Never mind, that's too much work. I'm doing too much. Find others. Yes, I have a story well working on with my character and oh goodness, Angelicos. Angelicos. with the dinosaurs and everything. Ah, love it. Wish I could draw the wolves, but I can't. Wolves are very flowy. I don't know if that makes sense, but I they're hard to draw. I when I draw wolves, rather it's a commission or I'm making something for Avalon, I have so many references up. Autumn is naturally a lot better at drawing wolves than I am. And yes, I'm writing a book. This is a scene from the book. So I've been writing a book for 17 years or more. I feel it. I've been working on my book for a lot longer than I originally expected to, but I'm glad that I feel like, the book gets done when the book gets done. It took Tolkien over 10 years. Actually, I think it took him a lot longer than 10 years. I think it took him like 20 years to write his book. Um, and he needed that time to fully flesh out his world and I guess go through whatever experiences he had to as a writer. But it's the thing I keep telling myself. Hello. That's how it goes. My book started from a concept when I was 12. Yep. That's how Avalon started too. Just playing in the backyard as kids, pretending to be wolves. Now here we are. Still thinking about it. Like I said earlier, I'm not going for perfection. I just need it to look good enough. This original image was a rainy scene, and like I said earlier, I've lost the old layers, so everything is on one layer, and I'm just making edits to it. But I'm pretty good at making edits. I'm an expert at this point because I've been doing this for a long time for our videos. Um, Extracting characters from a background and making changes to them. Pretty good at it. I get bad writer's block. Yeah. I find that sometimes I have to take a break from drawing, but I'll go to like video editing or to writing. I normally like switch between like what creative endeavor I'm exploring. That tends to really help me get through a block or whatever. Um, I also think like it's good like if you have been like grinding and grinding and grinding nonstop on something, once you get to a stopping point, like it's good to take a creative break. I try not to call it a block because like I truly believe in the power of words. And if you keep telling yourself, I have writer's block, I have artist block, I can't get myself to draw. If you keep telling yourself that enough times, your brain will start to believe it. So I'm kind of mindful of like trying not to use the word block when I do go through phases where I genuinely don't feel like drawing. I always try to like phrase it as a break, uh, that way so I can get my energy and kind of fill my cup up. Because, when you get ideas and you're listening to your music and you're playing a movie in your head, you need to experience the real world. You need to go outside. You need to do things and get uncomfortable and go through experiences to fill your cup up. That way so you can pour it back into your creative passion. So you can't always just be exporting creativity. You have to put things back into you. Um, to kind of put it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's definitely a give and take where you have to also like go out and like experience things and live your life to fill your cup up so you're ready to create again. So I don't know, like, and that's really helped me to always like be very kind to myself and not uh, view my lack of wanting to draw as a flaw, but as a sign that it's time for me to fill my cup up and get refueled by doing something, you know, by doing something other than just constantly export, export, export creativity. You got to give back to yourself too. They're very hard to draw, especially the front view of wolves is super hard. Yeah, I struggle with front views too. I am a big sucker for the 3/4 angle. I think that is like my go-to is like, ah, yes, the 3/4 angle. If I go through like my sketchbook, I swear it's like all my drawings are like wolves at a 3/4 face angle. And give me another song. Is the Discord server accepting of those who use Xeno pronouns? I have a good friend of mine who strictly uses that. I want to join but is unsure. If you say that's what your pronouns are, I'm pretty sure almost everyone will be pretty accepting of it. And if for whatever reason they have an issue where someone is like not being super respectful to them, then you can always open a ticket and bring it up to a staff. So yeah, I our community is pretty awesome. Our inner child is happy with the wolves. Yes. Turns out it really wasn't a phase. Never really went away. Still just as excited about it as an adult as I was when I was 10 years old. It's nice also to, you know, I do have the Discord community and there's so many adults in there and it's like very refreshing to like talk to other people who are like my age group and just as passionate and excited about their characters and world building and drawing and it's so refreshing to be around other adults. But our server is PG-13, so there's like people of all ages. But you know, I just know that like there's a lot of people who are more closer to my age, and I am 26 for the record. And I started posting about Avalon when I was, I think it was back in 2019 when I like first got TikTok. I don't have TikTok anymore. Uh, I'm very fond of YouTube. It grew on me so quickly when I moved to YouTube. All right, let's see what they look like. I think also what I'm going to do is duplicate that just so I have a copy. I think I'm going to move you that way so when this animation plays, you can tell that she's actually like slamming her. Let me redo that. There we go. Just thinking about this logically, I might need to do something like this. Uh-oh. I gotta close my tablet real quick. Give me just 1 second. I need to lock in for a minute. I know if you look at this closely, it doesn't like Ilara's arm doesn't quite make sense. But thinking about, this is like half of a second in an animation, it doesn't have to look right, you know? I've been writing about thylacines, aka Tasmanian tiger, and I'm making a short story about my realm soon. Ooh, that's cool. I love a xenofiction. It's, you go to like a bookstore and there's like, it seems like it's such a teeny tiny niche section. So it's always nice to have more. I had to edit a drawing once without the layers. It's hard. Yeah, it is. It's very time consuming. I made the lore for my story. Sweet. Yes, this is Sketchbook. What brush do you use for sharp lines? For me in Sketchbook, I use inking pen. However, these wolves were originally drawn on Procreate by Autumn. I'm just making edits. I will lock in on my writing for days, and then my imagination just goes poof. The wolf lovers inside us awaken. You know what I realized? You know what? I'm going to go back. Hold on, did I save that? Okay, cool, I did save it. Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure. Because I did take the effort to, like, actually close her mouth and make it open. Okay. I did save a copy. Okay, let me go forward. Going forward! Okay, there we go. So, I can make this animation go This will be number 1, number 2. Go ahead and label this. Put her right here. Then I'll take picture number 2. Label this. Let me try this again.
Chained by death and rust. He saw the blood-stained earth, the broken shield, and chose to walk among the battlefield.
Whoa. Why did it turn off? Sorry. I think my iPad storage is like low and it's just making the whole thing like freak out. I probably need to delete some videos. Oh yeah. Hold up. Let me delete some videos. I want to put my phone down, so it's gonna be like a black screen for a minute. But I think I need to do this right now before this thing freaks out. Oh yeah, I got a ton of videos I can delete. Sorry, guys. That should help a lot. Do, 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 do. Okay. All right. Now that I'm deleting those, we should be good. Can one of my wolves not have a tail due to injury? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if I can get this thing to work now. Now, play my music again. So start here.
One trumps thunder, crowned in ancient light. The Maker gazed upon our endless night, where warriors fell and kingdoms turned to dust, where mortal hearts were chained by death and rust. He saw the blood-stained earth, the broken shield, and chose to walk among the battlefield. The King of Glory shed his throne of flame, took flesh and bone and bore our mortal shame. No sword of steel, but mercy was his blade. Through storm and trial, his covenant was made. The unconquerable bowed to human pain, that we might rise and with the victor reign. From the frozen north to the southern shore, the battle cry resounds forevermore. He died, he rose, the chains of death are torn. The sons of Adam now are heaven born. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, to seek and save, that whoever believes shall never fall, but have eternal life. He conquered all. The cross became his ship, the grave his sea. He sailed through death to bring us victory.
All right. That edit is pretty much good, and I have a couple more edits I need to make. I love wolves, but I love saber-tooths and thylacines more right now. That's understandable. I've always really, really loved saber-tooths. Oh goodness. Save Becky. I don't know why I just determined that Autodesk's name is Becky, but that's what I'm going to call it now. Okay, and now it's time to Frankenstein some art. I took a bunch of autumn drawings, and I've been working on this to create some new ghost art by Frankensteining. But you know what? I think I got this. Felines and wolves best combo. Made an animatic of my characters using Mufasa audio. I drew 2 pictures and made slight edits on IBS Paint. Can't move characters like this though. Wish I could, it gets blurry. I struggle with blur a little bit too. There's always like a grainy texture, like when I export. Thankfully, Autumn, who is the actual wolf artist, she's the one who actually drew these wolves. I'm just making edits, like I said. Thankfully, she uses Procreate, and it always comes out pretty crispy. So I'm very happy with that. Am I getting Pride? Why am I getting my Pride or Warrior Cats vibes crossed over with Skyrim? Ooh, Skyrim. Said the magic word for me. Doo-doo. Love Warrior Cats too. I want to make a song for my Outback boys. Skyrim mentioned. I actually have Skyrim playing in the background right now on my TV. I always play, like, every day. I play Skyrim ambient music. The Skyrim music would go hard here. Oh, dude, I have a whole Skyrim playlist. There's so much Skyrim music on my Avalon playlist. Like I said, I literally have Skyrim ambient music in the background. I'm obsessed. I think I play Skyrim more than, like, any other game. Looks like Ulfric Stormcloak and Alduin as wolves. I think Alara would love that. Skylar, very quickly, may I get some, like, detailed info on mate takers? Anything you find interesting that we don't yet know? Oh. Anything you find interesting that we don't know yet that I could use for writing and art? Yeah. So the mate taker, that is pretty much like the Avalon version of a Sarcosuchus. I hope I said that name correctly. I'm not really good with the prehistoric scientific names. But it's basically a giant 40-foot prehistoric crocodile. And it is native to Willow Rot, and it is, of all the animals, it's in the name. It is the most dangerous marine reptile in all of Avalon, and honestly, it would be in, like, probably the top 5 for including Vinvari and even the Adara Scourge for, like, dangerous animals. It gets its name Mate Taker because it is a prehistoric crocodile. It's very strong. It's an ambush predator. It's fast. And it is the one animal that there's absolutely no wolves or felines or anyone else that can take them on, even with elemental abilities. They are just too powerful. And I've mentioned this briefly before. Avalon has something called the Game Warden Department, which it's in the name. They have wolf game wardens that patrol Avalon's wilderness and enforce hunting law. And I've mentioned this before, only in live streams, but the game wardens, they actually do a lot of their training in Willow Rot, because part of the job is you have to be able to take on any saber-toothed tiger or frost leopard or even another wolf that is committing hunting crimes. And usually, Avalon being full of very social predators, normally saber-toothed tigers are in bands and wolves are in packs. So how does a wolf be able to take on a group of saber-toothed tigers, which are bigger, stronger, and equipped with, their long saber fangs and claws? How do you train a wolf to be able to do that? The game warden departments, their solution is to train their wolves against animals that are even more difficult than that. They train them against Sarzan. If you can take on a Sarzan or a dinosaur, then you can take on a saber-toothed tiger. So game wardens actually do a lot of dinosaur fighting in Willow Rot. But of all the different animals they train on and are receive an education on, they do not go after mate takers. They do not challenge them. They do not look at them. They don't acknowledge them. Like, you don't take on this animal. And if Avalon's most renowned fighting force won't even bother with these guys, then that should be a testimony of how deadly the mate taker is. And they're not even like the biggest predator, but they are by far probably the most dangerous in all of Avalon. The song Skyrim the Dragonborn Comes would be fire. Oh, I should add that to my playlist. I really like that one. I'm a big fan of pretty much anything Jeremy Soule. Oh gosh, what song was that? I have no idea which one was playing. Oh wait, was it my Viking song? My Viking Jesus song? If you're referring to that one is literally called John 3:16. Like the song is John 3:16 by The Fjord, I want to say. Oh, poor Ghost. Polar and Ragnar are the best boys. Ragnar is my Frosttooth tiger, and Polar is an Eclipse Frosttooth tiger. And Ragnar's mate. I love them. Polar is my boyfriend's character. Also, I found some AI stuff I had done previously before. I've been not using it and I've had to delete it. And it looked bad. Any tips on making sequences of things for visual aids on task? Don't use AI. If you're making videos or social media things, I don't know if you were insinuating that you're like kind of trying to put down AI and trying to do things more manually, but definitely don't use AI. I have like my own personal list of reasons why I don't like it, but also like especially in the art community, because I'm assuming you're doing something artistic. You'll lose a lot of respect for your audience and potential customers if they find that you've used AI for any part of your process and uh, it's dishonest uh, and it looks cheap. So definitely don't do it for that reason. But also, like I have my own various reasons. Uh, but I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're doing. What I do, if you looked on my YouTube videos, I I'm making a story called The Wolves of Avalon, and it is a high fantasy story. And I'm not making an animated series because I know my own limits and I'm just not interested in doing that. But what I do make is I like to make lore videos explaining the different world building characteristics of my story. And I will make 2 frame short animations as just a more interesting visual than just, putting a still frame on a video because I think it's a lot more interesting and more cinematic. So that's what I do to make it like a little bit more interesting. And if you're doing something like that, I would advise you to get a Google Drive, a very well organized Google Drive. Like if you're doing like an animal story or I don't know, even like a D&D story, start organizing all your files, all your PNG characters, or excuse me, any like full body, fully rendered color. Oh my gosh, look at me going. I can't even speak right. I would take any full bodied color drawings you have and export them on a transparent file and then put that in its own drive and then put all your backgrounds in their own folder and then put all your other elements in another folder. That way, so it's really easy for you to know where to look for stuff. That way, so if you're making videos like I am, you can really quickly grab what you need, put it on your timeline, and move on. That's how I'm able to make videos fairly fast. I know I always complain about how long it takes me to make videos, but it would be like 1,000 years slower if I was not as organized as I was. So any full render drawings you have or parts of your drawing, save them on transparent files and then organize them in folders, and it's going to make your video making process faster. And if you're doing social media stuff, you could do the same thing if you're making like, I don't know, like flyers or charts. I don't know what it is that you're doing, but organization is the key for everything. Rather, you're making videos, you're doing art, or you're working on some big creative collaborative project. Neat Skyrim playlist. I'll probably play that one next. My Skyrim playlist because it's so nice to have the background. I had this drawing of Ghost originally, but he looks a little bit too bulky. See, this is another trick. I don't draw everything. I'll just grab parts of another drawing if I'm going to try and make my process faster. Hope you have more fun drawing. What's your favorite Skyrim faction? Oof. That's not to be basic, but maybe the companions, because I find myself using werewolf mode so often because I just love to run so fast through the map. Yeah, I'm pretty partial to the companions. Patricia. Godzilla. Are there matchmakers in Avalon? What do you mean by matchmakers? Do you mean like, is there like an Avalon dating system? Because if that's your question, then yes, there is. It's actually called the Flower Fair. And I have a video that explains it. But I don't know if that's what you were asking as I'm scrolling through the comments. If you could just clarify. Celtic Woman did a cover of the Skyrim theme. Ooh. I do love Celtic style music. Actually, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about because I think I actually have it on one of my playlists. Is Ghost all right? Yes, Ghost is good. Skylar, if you ever want to chat about writing, world building, xenofiction, or whatnot, I'm open for that. I've been world building for 3 years and writing this draft for about 6 months. Been writing for years. Yeah, I'm a yapaholic too. Or I don't that's not what you were saying. I am a yapaholic, so I'm always down to talk about those topics when I have time. Um Sometimes it's not often, but sometimes I will do. I'll jump in the Avalon chat, which is like our voice channel in Discord. And if I ever pop up in there, would definitely love to chat. Go shaved. No, I'm trying to give him his fluff back. His ghost fur so pretty. Because in this original drawing, he was on a Autumn had drawn a sunset background. I took the background away because I'm actually going to put a moving background behind it. I have a question. Not sure if it's much of a lore question for the live stream, but are there places in Avalon that have droughts or drier season than others? Not really. Not. I would say maybe the Cascadia mountain range region is a little bit drier, but not by a lot because they still get a ton of snowfall every year. Actually, in this video that is coming out in, I want to say 2-ish weeks, to give myself a big enough window. I don't want to give a timeline and not honor it. But in the video that's coming out fairly soon, there's actually an explanation of why Avalon has the climate it does and why there is so much rainfall and snowfall in Avalon. It's related to the moon. Actually, the only reason why there is hurricanes, ocean waves, fires that are able to withstand their flame for longer than a couple of hours, it's all because of the moon. And I'm about to give an extremely in-depth explanation of the moon, the magic system, and Avalon's prehistory. And it's a very in-depth video. I'm so happy. Literally, like, just so I can show you guys that I'm not just talking the talk. This is my video timeline right now, and you can see me working on it. I'm all the way up to the 12-minute mark on this video. And it's so far I have voiced 16 minutes of it. I might add another section. I think I'm going to add another little section at the end, so I might extend my timeline a little bit. Video might not come out at the exact date that I send, but I love to DM. Oh, that's like a Dungeon Master. I think I am forever a DM. I don't play much as a player. You know what's funny? I don't do Dungeons and Dragons, but I can definitely relate to the feeling of wanting to be the creator of a universe and steer the story, because that is how I am. If I ever got into D&D, which I don't think I will because I just don't have the time for it and the commitment. But if I ever did, I think I would do best as a DM because I just love having control over all elements of a story. That was what I was asking about. Thank you. I know it's a little dumb question, but how do you RP with a bunch of people? How is it like? I don't know, because I haven't role played since I was like a little kid. Like, as far as like role playing in a chat with people, I don't actually do that. I very much enjoy creating the sandbox and filling the sandbox with toys. You know, I'm using a metaphor right now, and then letting other people play with my toys. That's a really weird metaphor, but that's the best way I can describe it, because I like to make world building videos and give people the tools to insert their own characters and the bases and the artwork and the lore behind it. But I myself don't really role play with people. I enjoy lurking and seeing what people are up to, but I don't really have time to participate in it myself. But it's something I did a lot as a kid, or younger kid. I can't figure out what species I want to make for the wolf I'm working on. I've jumped through all of them. Is there any species you haven't made yet? I didn't know that was a thing. I barely know how to navigate most of Discord. I'm in the server, but there is so much. Yeah, it is a really big server. If you ever get like really lost in the Discord and you don't understand something, I do have like a very in-depth YouTube explanation that goes through like all the channels, and not all the channels, but it goes through the most important stuff and explains how to do literally everything, and where to find everything you need to know. So if you ever get like super lost, or you just like don't know like what's the purpose of things, that video, I think it's called Explaining the Discord. It literally goes over everything in a really clear and easy way to understand. Oh yeah, Steffi's right. You can use the spinning wheel for the species. Yes, I use CapCut. You took Ghost Fluff away, how dare you? I know. I did take away his fluff. I gotta try to blend this because I don't know if you guys can tell from your view, but his fur is kind of all blending together. Or it's not blending together, and I need it to. It's more so I don't know what colors I want to do. Just lost to making them look good with the colors. Look at horses. I frequently look at horses to get inspiration for color palettes. That's actually how we came out with most, not most, but at least a good chunk of the species were inspired by different horse color types. So that's always like a go-to for me when I'm like struggling with colors. Whoever requested the Skyrim music, here you go. Oh god, what's that? What did I do? Don't tell me that. I might come back with a spotted happy wolf. I guess we just have to shave Ghost. I guess this is a younger Ghost. Maybe he hasn't grown into his fluff in this drawing. No, the fluff. Horses are a pain to draw. Yes, they are. They really are. I love them, but oh my god, their legs are killing me. Are there highly regarded accessories the wolves wear? Yes, there is. Moonstones and Elk's Heart are two rocks that are precious stones. Um, I've definitely explained moonstones a lot, but they are literally chunks of the moon that have fallen down, and they are glowing rainbow rocks. And then there is Elk's Heart, which is a red ruby. Um, it's kind of a rare gemstone, and it's something that you would give to your lover. Um, the idea is that if you give someone like an Elk's Heart gemstone, it'll keep them warm even in like the coldest nights when you're apart from your loved one. So it's really common, like if a wolf is uh, getting recruited to become an operator, rather it's like a game warden, a high guard, or whatever it may be. It's common for a mate to give their wolf, or excuse me, for a wolf to give their mate like an Elk's Heart, because it's kind of like the gemstone of long distance relationships. So it's really that's a really valuable, pretty gemstone that you could use to like accessorize. Gold is also uh, kind of expensive. It's not as expensive as the Elk's Heart, but it's also very valuable, especially to Thunders. And Game Warden feathers are priceless. Can't really put a price on them because like it is illegal to sell or redistribute Game Warden feathers without having earned them. But that is something that, you know, it actually goes for a pretty high value in the black market, if you're able to get some Game Warden feathers, because Game Warden feathers have to be earned through their actual training course, which is, of course, the most strenuous training course on the entire planet. So if you're able to somehow steal a Game Warden's feathers, those are kind of like a token of power. Do, do, do. Why am I hearing Assassin's Creed? Oh my gosh, brother, sister, you cannot be any more further. Is Halo. This is the most iconic video game soundtrack of all time. This is Halo. Oh god, I love Halo. I took I took a lot of inspiration from Halo when I was designing the Alpha Council meeting place, which that will also be revealed in the next video. So I just finished that this morning. especially the beginning. Yes, it's iconic. Doo doo. You gotta admit, the Halo theme gives Assassin's Creed vibes. If anything, Assassin's Creed gives Halo vibes. But you know what? I'm a huge fan of Assassin's Creed, so much so that I gotta prove it because I actually have hanging up on my refrigerator this drawing I did back in like 2013 of Assassin's Creed because I'm such a big Assassin's Creed fan. Video games. I have a pirate flag from when Black Flag came out. That was such a fun game. I know they recently remastered it. Almost done with this. I'm not going for perfection. I think it looks pretty good as long as I just get rid of these little blimps right here. Way better. Yeah, I think I just need to make his head a little smaller. How do you determine where to put first stuff without overdoing it? Well, I'm just making an edit. I did not draw these wolves. I just Frankensteined some Autumn artwork together because she's actually the wolf artist. I've been replicating her art for long enough that I have a pretty good feel for what looks right. I'm not the best myself, um, but I've gotten a lot better since we've been collaborating for a couple years now. So, um, yeah, I guess it's just experience and looking at her artwork over and over and over again. Like I said, I'm not like the best at it, but I'm good enough, good enough to make edits for videos. I always overdo fur, not gonna lie. That's why I ask. I know because I was going through mine and Autumn's archived Instagram post, and I was looking at a lot of old art, and I could see like the gradual progression of how she started making the fur more and more and more detailed, and it got to like I guess it got to like a peak amount of detail because now when I look at Autumn's artwork, it's like the artwork seems to have gotten simpler, but in a really aesthetic, flowy way. So it's interesting, like how like I feel like as younger artists, we always strive to be more detailed and more detailed and more detailed, and then once you get to a certain point, you kind of look back and you're like, that's actually I added all this detail, but now like the drawing is a little cluttered. And then sometimes we'll go back and as our style as our style develops with our skills, sometimes we get to a point where we realize that like less sometimes is better than adding more. But it is a matter of like your personal preference. Um, yeah, and what you think looks nice. But I'm kind of on the same page as her, just looking at the way her art has progressed. I'm I actually prefer a more simple fur rendering because I think it just lets the character shine, like uh their face shape and their body shape. I think it's more accentuated when there's less detailed fur rendering. But again, it's really a matter of your personal preference and then the type of style that you're trying to draw. Who did Ghost his fur? Well, Autumn technically did his fur. I made an edit. I need to fix this because this is messing me up. This little spot right here. That I'm looking at it. I'm just gonna throw it out. Noted. I think I'm currently doing the go back and simplify it part. Actively interacting hates so much fur. I can't seem to figure out how to place it. It's hard. When I'm working on commissions and I am doing a character, where the way that you place the fur is you have to be so strategic with it because it's so easy to overdo it and it's so easy to make a choice look like a mistake when it comes to doing fur because it needs to have a flow to it. Um, it's kind of a hard thing to describe, but like when you're drawing it, you probably know what I mean of how often you redo the cheek fur or like the fluff on the back or on the neck. For me, like I always struggle right here where the neck meets the chest. I always am like changing my style of how do I want to place this. Oh, give me just 1 minute. Do do. I've got my Halo playlist going. Yeah, I did make that line a little bit too thick. There we go. Looks a little better. Doo-doo. Can we add colors that are a few shades darker or lighter than the palette show? Yeah. But don't stray too far from the like OG color palettes, but you can go just a little darker or a little lighter. The main thing is it just needs to be somewhat close to the palette. This Black Wolf is Shadow. He is an old OG character. He is Ghost's best friend. I have a question. What is the difference between the Southern Sod, North Rock, and Eastern Red Clay? I know they are the Earth element, but I'm just curious. Let me pull up some artwork to actually like kind of demonstrate this a little bit better. The Southern Sod, that is the original species. The North Rock and the Eastern Red Clay, they both can trace their ancestry back to the Southern Sod. And this is a Southern Sod. This is actually in the timeline that's going to pop up in this video that's coming out. A lot of good information in the next one. It's a big world drop. Big lore drop. So the North Rock species, they came... Oh, goodness. When was it? I could divide Avalon's time period into 3 sections. The Fawn Age, the Ripping Velvet Age, and then the Stag Age, which is the time period in which like the story is actually taking place. So if you go back, I want to say it's like 50,000 years like from the present day. If you go back in Avalon's timeline, that was around the time that the North Rock came into existence. And the Eastern Red Clay actually came from the North Rock. So it was Southern Sod, North Rock, and then the Eastern Red Clay. And, you know, obviously the North Rocks, the Southern Sod, and the Eastern Red Clay, these 3 species of earth wolf, they are all living simultaneously in the same time period. So they just are, at least in the case of the North Rock, they are the result of some Southern Sods or rogue Southern Sods leaving their home territory and going out to live in the plains. And that's also why their fur got a lot lighter. And I'm about to pull up a picture of all the earth species so I can like talk about this a little bit better. Well, here's the North Rocks. Here's a couple North Rocks. So when they went up north to the Cascadia Mountains, which, you know, they are mountains, but they're really far spread mountains and kind of like this, what do you call it? It's kind of like a tundra steppe. Yeah, more like a tundra steppe or tundra plains with a lot of like widespreading craggy mountains. And that's also where the herds actually migrate through. So there's not a lot of tree cover, and originally where this species comes from in Draftwood, it is a gigantic forest. It is the biggest forest in Avalon, and it is the trees are so big and so dense that sunlight hardly ever really gets to the forest floor. So the southern sods are a super dark species because they're constantly living in the shadows of the forest. But when this group moved up north, they got much lighter fur over the years. And the eastern red clays, they have their own origin story. It's kind of a longer explanation, but long story short, the eastern red clays, they are the result of a random genetic mutation, whereas the North Rocks, they came from slow evolution from just migrating regions and, slowly adapting to their environment. The eastern red clays, they just happened spontaneously for an unknown reason. A she wolf was born with red fur and red moon stripes. It just happened, and that's it. It's just a random genetic mutation. And here we go. This is the image I was looking for. Oh my god, it's so dark. So here's the ancestor species. You can see they're like super dark. It's like glaring on my screen. Here's a North Rock, and then the Eastern Red Clay. Eastern Red Clays are considered to be really, really pretty in Avalon. And I think a lot of it comes from the novelty of them just spontaneously appearing. And, they're just, this is the newest species in Avalon. I want to make an Eastern Red Clay wolf now. I need to make the art now. Yeah, they're really pretty. This is actually a species that Autumn created. Long time ago, I want to say back in 2019, 2020, me and her had a really long conversation about finalizing the elements in the different species. And this was a species that she really wanted to make. And she came up with like the design and color palettes for these guys. One second. Ugh, goodness. I need to take a sip of water. Okay, I'm back. The main red wolves, look, Eastern Red Clay. Mate taker info. The mate taker is kind of like the Avalon Sarcosuchus, which is like that giant 40-foot prehistoric crocodile. And they are native to Willow Rot. They get their name for probably pretty obvious reasons. They are the most dangerous marine animal in Avalon, and they have taken more lives than probably any other non-wolf species. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about them. They're just extremely dangerous, and no one really messes with them. They're an ambush marine predator. I don't know where I was going with that. I think it's Sarcosuchus. Yeah, I'm probably not saying it right, but that's the way I've started saying it. That's the way I say it in the video explanation too. My Shark Week video that I need to come out with. I love them. I'm making a character with them. Sorry, gotta save my file. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I might stream later, but I'm not sure. I might take a break for the night. But thank you guys for joining. I got a lot of progress done, and I'm excited because now I can add these new illustrations to the video. All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.